Hi,
Hey,
hi.
hey.
Welcome back to page 3. I'm Ellie.
And I'm Sydney.
And in today's video, we decided, as scary as it might sound, as insane as it might sound, we're already halfway through the year, which is insane. So I think that Sid and I were kind of thinking about it, and we thought it would be really fun to do a little video of like the best books that we read thus far in 2026, because it's scary out there. So we're each going to give you 3 books, and then I think next week we're going to talk about how we're doing with our New Year's resolutions. Because I think it's good to just have like a little check-in, a little pulse point, see how we're feeling, see what's going on. So yeah, I'm very excited to get into the books. Sid and I have both got into like new genres, I think. Both of us have kind of done a little dipped our toe into something a little bit new, which is awesome. So yeah, Sid, do you want to go first and tell us
Yeah.
just your favorite books?
So yeah, like Ellie said, if you watched the episode we put out in January about like our New Year's resolutions and our reading goals and whatever, I set my goal for this year. I'm pulling it up for everybody. I set my goal this year for 40 books. I am halfway through. I've read 20. So I'm like really on the dot right now.
You are.
According to Goodreads, I'm 2 books ahead of schedule. So I've read 20 of 40. Up until this year, like up literally in the last 6 months, I did not read any mystery, thriller, murder mystery, like horror, any of that. And I have pretty much exclusively read that this year, which is crazy. The 3 that I'm going to give you, one is Beautiful Ugly by Alice Feeney. And I've talked about this in a couple other episodes, but it really is that good. I got recommended to it, got it recommended to me. There we go. By my friend Tess, who pretty much exclusively only reads this genre. And she was like, it's not creepy, it's not scary, like you'll really like it. Her writing is insane, whatever. And I read it in one sitting and I thought I had a handle on this book. I think I read it in 3 hours or something like that. And I thought I had a handle on it. And then I turned the last page and I was gagged. I was like, wait, did I misread the entire story? Like, did I get
It
it?
was one of those stories where like the ending changes the whole novel. I
Yes.
love books
So,
like that.
the
I love
ending
books like that.
literally reveals all of the, like it sheds all this light on the whole book, and you realize that, like, all of these things during the story that you absorbed as truth and just took as fact, you were like, "Oh my god, wait, that meant this and this and this," and, like,
Yeah.
it literally changed the entire book in one line. It changed the whole book. So good. Such an addicting read. Like, she writes such an interesting pace because you feel like you're kind of, like, floating through what the 2 main characters in the story are doing. But at the same time, like, you could be transcending years and not even realize it.
Yeah.
So well written, Beautiful Ugly, Alice Feeney, cannot recommend more. And then I'm not going to use this as one of my books, but I want to say that we've read a lot of books for the podcast that contribute to my 20 books this year. If you've been keeping up with Book of the Month, we've read The Correspondent, we've read Had About Town, God of the Woods, Remain, I Have Never Known Men. And I think my favorite of the podcast honorable mention is The Correspondent. That or God of the Woods, but I think The Correspondent, I loved it. It's very up my alley of genres I like. It's very, like, literary fiction, very up for interpretation, and I loved it. I love a book about, like, very mundane, normal life that, like, makes you feel like you're yearning in somebody's life. I just think the author, Virginia Evans, did an incredible job. So that's my honorable mention. My second book, I'm kind of changing what I thought I was gonna say,
Okay.
but I fear I can't. I'm gonna get hate for this, I think. I fear I can't let this one go without saying it, and it's Alchemized.
Why would you get hate for that? You love that book.
I know it's like a very popular thing right now, and people have a lot of opinions on it because it used to be a fan fiction. So everybody,
Whatever.
like, classic book
Everyone
world,
says
people want to
shit about
diminish
fan
it.
fiction.
Yes.
Everyone says shit about fan fiction. And you know what? Fan fiction built this fucking city. Let me tell
Yeah.
you that much. Like, fan fiction is everything. That's how most people got into reading. That's how most people got into writing.
Yep.
So Twilight was a
Also
fan
classic.
fiction. 50 Shades of Grey was a fan fiction.
Yep. But classic pretentious, like, reading community, like, wants to diminish that it's, like, good literature or whatever.
So stupid.
I never read the fan fiction of Alchemized. I know that there's, like, a book that came first that is the reason that this one got written. I also read it before ever watching or reading any Harry Potter, which I know is where a lot of it is derived from. So I will say my friends that read it post Harry Potter, post reading the fan fiction, still loved it. They just had very different opinions about it than I did. I am very grateful I did not read Harry Potter or watch Harry Potter before reading it or any of that. I since have, but I loved it. I think that it's very misunderstood. I took it as a story about like people forgotten in history, and like it very much reads like a historical fiction, not a fantasy. It very much reads like a historical fiction. It reminded me a lot of the way that Kristen Hanna writes, despite the fact that it's a fantasy book. I did not find any derivative of Harry Potter, but I also didn't know any of the characters from Harry Potter at the time. So since now I can understand how like the main character could be Draco, but like I think it's really just in looks, not like
Yeah.
anything else. Like I think they literally were just like, he's hot.
I
Okay.
think that's something that a lot of people kind of mistake about fan fiction too. And I've talked to people who are avid Harry Potter lovers.
Yeah.
And my best friend's Maddie. She knows so much about the Harry Potter world and has read a lot of Harry Potter fan fiction. And she talks a lot about how the reading community and the readers of the book took it and made these characters into something that they maybe not were on the page. And I think that's totally confirms my hypothesis about the best books are measured by readability
Yep.
and connection, not by
Uh-huh.
a genre. So I think that that's amazing. And I think that a lot of times, like characters, when you read them, fan fiction, fans, sometimes I feel like fans can know a character a little bit better than an author can. Because
Yeah.
the difference when you're creating somebody, like sometimes I feel like there are people that know me better than I know myself. And that's because
Yeah.
you're not always the best judge of who you are, right? You don't always have
Yeah.
the image. And so that's why I feel like readers can do a really great job at just like depicting characters. And
Yeah.
I love that Alchemist was such a big novel for you. I think that's amazing.
Loved it. The only way that I can express it is by reading you my review, because this is probably the best review I've ever written on Goodreads. And if you've watched any episode, you know that I talk about this all the time. I love to write a review on Goodreads. Okay. So I said, if you're looking for a romantasy that is whimsical and magical, this is not it. It is devastating because despite how much of it is dystopian or even based from the fan fiction, the impact of war, the moral ambiguity, and the decisions made in war, the gray area that happens when you have to choose two worse options is very, very real. The way this is written is genius. It's not a surprise that this is as impactful as it is, because the structure of the story, the way it's told, and the details are so intrinsically connected. You cannot understand each part without the other, and the impact comes from those small details. My favorite part was discovering each heart-wrenching connection as the chapters and sections of the stories wove themselves together. This book is a project, and you have to pay attention and want to experience it all because of the details. If you are willing to commit, all 1,200 pages are extremely, extremely worth it. I'll probably think about it for the rest of my life. And it's written in 3 parts, and it's told not in chronological order.
I love that.
So you spend the whole book being like, oh, that from this section is, and that, and one more. And every time I found something, it was like stab to the chest. And then I got all the TikTok edits about it. And me and my friend Afton like literally sat and we're like reading it like this. And she found details that I didn't even find. And like, of course, like some people like really went crazy. Like, you know, how during like ACOTAR, people like went down and like actually went page by page and found this stuff. People did that about this. I think if you're willing to commit to the project the same way that ACOTAR is a project also. And I think if you're willing to commit to it and be like, okay, I'm going to sit down and read this, because you have to like, you can't really take a break from reading it. There's too many details in it. The chronological order of it all is too confusing. I thought it was so beautiful. Like, I really thought it was so beautiful. I think a lot of the shit that it gets is like fake. And
I think the
I
shit that it gets is just because
exactly. Exactly. My last one is First Lie Wins by Ashley Elston, which Ellie bought for me. And I've also talked about this book probably 10 times on the podcast, but it's another one where I'm like, there's like no words. Like, you have to read it. It's another thriller mystery situation, but it's more like real lifey, if that makes sense. Like, it's not like Beautiful Ugly, the one that I talked about first. I mean, maybe it would happen in real life, but the odds are really fucking low. This, like, low-key could happen, and it also is told from the perspective of somebody who's very normal inherently. And, like, I think the thing that I've always had a hard time in thriller or mysteries, it's really hard to relate to somebody who's, like, hypothetically doing or participating in evil things that, like, maybe you wouldn't, or is experiencing evil things that you haven't. And this girl, the main character, is very relatable. Like, you can't help but kind of, like, love her and, like, agree with her and feel for her. And she's very normal girl, and I think it was told really beautifully and it was told really well, and I loved the ending. And I think that another thing I appreciated about it is that they led you to believe this plot twist the whole book, and it made so much sense that you kind of ignored all other options. And then when it actually happened, you were like, my God, but like in a good way. Like you almost were happy that it was not what you thought it was going to be. And it was also another one that I read. I read it in one day as well. It was so readable. It's not very long. It's like under 300 pages. And it was just amazing. So I've been on a weird thriller kick. It's not normally my genre. I didn't read it till this year, but now apparently I just can't help myself. So
No, you can't. And it's, you know what? Once you find like a new genre that you're like so intrigued by, it's so fun. Like it's
yeah.
so much fun to read a book that you might not have read otherwise. Can we shush it?
So yeah.
And yes, wait, I think, okay, give me one second.
Yeah.
Okay. So I love when you get to, yeah, I'm reiterating what I said. I think it's so much fun when you read a book that you don't originally think that you're going to read and a genre that you think that you're not going to enjoy and then you love it and it's so much fun.
The way of
So
reading them, it teaches you so much. Like you get so excited to, like, I don't know, when you and me were reading different things and when we've been talking about, especially book of the month, like you've been like, I wouldn't have picked this for myself, but it's
yeah,
amazing. And like, so
I totally agree. So
hit us with
I
yours.
think that this year I had a really like low goal for myself. I used to read, I think one year I read 100 books in a year. And now my goal this year started at 10. Okay.
And you know what, baby? That's all
So,
right.
but I will say that I was writing my own novel at the same time. So I think that takes a little bit of effort. But okay, so one of the things that I've kind of gotten into is lesbian romance books. I used to exclusively read straight romance books. Happy Pride, everybody. Happy fucking Pride Month. I used to only exclusively read straight romances, honestly, because I find I'm a very anxious person. And no, I shouldn't say I'm anxious. I think I'm an overthinker. And so I think I found a lot of comfort in romance and straight romance specifically because there's a lot of peace to be found in it.
Well, and also shout out the episode where we just deep dove into you talking about why you
Yes,
read.
yes. And like it's just light and easy and breezy. And I read a lot of romance novels, lesbian romance novels in the past, and they just felt really heavy. And I don't really like that. Not I love a heavy novel, but I don't want the heaviness to be your sexuality because I'm tired of those stories. I'm tired of them. So yeah. So so I have read a couple of them, right? My best lesbian romance that I read this year probably is Bloomtown by Allie North. I think that's her name. Let me check. Yeah. Bloomtown by Allie North. It's a duology. It's so good. I've been down many a Reddit thread saying, please stop recommending this book because it is so good. Like, we all get it. We want to read more books that are like this book.
Yeah.
So that book is amazing. It is set in the Wild West and the past is kind of historical fiction. And it's about a woman that gets kidnapped by another woman and she is kind of held for ransom over her father. Joey is the one that kidnaps her and she's holding the girl that gets kidnapped for ransom because she needs money, perceivably. And yeah, so you kind of follow the story and you follow the two of them falling in love. And they have kids, and I was really hesitant. It's actually a book that my girlfriend recommended to me. She kept telling me to read it. I kept resisting because if you tell me to read a book, I'm probably not going to read it. I don't know why I have that problem, but I do. And then I read it and I was like, oh my God, love, you are so right. This is so good. It's so amazing. And then my honorable mention for that category, I shall say, is Every Step She Takes, which I have right here. Alison Cochrane. So good. It is so good. Yeah. It's about two characters that go and walk the Camino de Santiago in Spain and Portugal and about their self-healing journey and about queerness. And there's a bunch of paragraphs in here that are about queerness and the things that are tying to queerness. And one of the characters in it, she didn't know that she was gay. And it talks and kind of walks through her experience of figuring it out late in life. And what does it mean to be behind? And what does it mean to be, not on time with everybody else? It's just amazing. So I loved that book. One of my favorite books this year was, I will say, it was God of the Woods. I adore that book. I love that book. It was one of my tops. I just had such a fantastic time reading it. I thought it was just so well done as a book.
It was such an experience to read, especially when we were doing it week by week the way that we were. I feel like we really got to walk through it.
Completely. And I loved the character development and I loved walking through these bigger ideologies and these bigger questions of who are you and what does generational trauma look like and being able to follow multiple storylines at once and follow multiple characters at once was fantastic. And I loved it. Similar to the Correspondent, being able to step inside the minds of multiple characters. It's such a blessing, and I love it so much, which is a shout out for a professor that once told me that books that have multiple perspectives are not good. Wrong again, sir.
Ooh,
Wrong.
I love books with multiple perspectives. What are we talking about?
I know, literally.
Why are we lying?
I know. And then I read a lot of fantasy, and one of my other favorite books this year that I've read is I started my goal at 16, I said, but I moved it up. I started at 10. I started my goal at 10 and I moved it up to 15, and now I'm at 16 out of 15, and I know I'm going to beat that because we have this book of the month. I have another book club I'm a part of. I have a whole stack of books back there I need to read. So I'm going to exceed my goal, which I'm very excited about, but I might move it again later. So we'll see. And then the other book that I read that I really love, I have two I'm going to talk about. I read Anathema, which is pretty good. This is by Carrie Lake. And I have it right here. This monstrous baby. I really, really loved this book. I thought it was such an interesting dive into a world. I just think it was really well done. I really enjoyed this book. Now I'm looking at my bookshelf. I'm like, wow, I have so many good books that I want to read and just not enough time. And then I'm going to keep buying more books because that's just what I do. That's just what I do. I just buy more books that I don't need.
Well, also, if it makes you feel any better, at least you know that half the books under your shelf are my books. That I bought so many books when I visited Ellie, guys, that I had to leave them behind because I had a suitcase full of books and they still didn't fit.
Yeah.
So there is a whole stack that is just living there and waiting for when I move, because then both of us were like, well, it's kind of stupid because I'm going to lug them here and lug them back.
Yeah.
So for what it's worth, at least there's like 24 that are mine.
Yeah, literally. They're in my closet, actually. I put them away because I needed to be able to visually see how much books I had. Read. And then one book that I read that is probably one of my tops actually is London Falling. It actually is. Syd and I read this for Book of the Month, a different book club that we're in that we love. Yeah. And you know what? I think I loved it because I would have never picked this out for myself. I didn't even think I was going to finish the book. And because sometimes that's what book club's about. Sometimes you go and you don't finish the fucking book.
Sometimes you go and you BS. And that's the truth.
Sometimes you go and you just hang out. Okay. It's mostly a gab session. It's fun. Book club is just exciting, right? Totally. So London Falling is a really great book. It's nonfiction. I have never really read a nonfiction book.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever actually read a nonfiction book, but this one is basically about a spellbinding account of a family devastated by the sudden death of their 19-year-old son, only to discover that he had created a secret life that drew him into the dangerous criminal underworld that lies beneath London's glittering surface. So good. It was just the author. I have so much respect for him. He did research on research on research. And it was just, I felt like I was listening to a documentary. And that was so exciting and so fun. And I forget how much I love to just learn. Obviously, I love to learn. I got a fucking master's degree, but I forget that I love to just find out about creative and interesting things. I actually just started he has two other books. One of them is called Say Nothing, which is about a death that happens in Northern Ireland. And the other one is Empire of Pain, which is about the Sackler family, who's the family that created the opioid, and kind of about the opioid epidemic in America. So I'm slowly parsing my way through that it's actually a huge novel. So that's kind of my little listen right now in the car. And then, I feel like I discovered new things about myself. Joining book clubs is so fun because they're choosing books that I would never read, never choose. And I'm excited to see our best books at the end of 2026. I have a lot of books I fucking need to read and I cannot buy another fucking book, but I know I'm going to. And I just need to maybe accept that too.
See, my thing, I was going to say this about the London Falling thing is that I don't know how to listen to audiobooks. I feel like when I listen to them, my mind wanders, and then all of a sudden I realize that the narrator's talking and I'm like, shit, I just missed 5 chapters. Yeah. And actually missed 5 chapters. Yeah. And Ellie, because she, especially in the last 6 months, was driving so much for school and back, you are very good at listening to audiobooks. You can actually pay attention and listen to them and whatever. And I think specifically for London Falling, because I was reading it, I had a harder time because it read the script to a documentary. It literally reads like a documentary script. And I think if I would have been able to listen to it in audiobook, I would have enjoyed it so much more. And so this year, maybe for the next 6 months, I'll make one of my goals to start listening to audiobooks. And
that's a great one. I love that. You know what? I will say, I kind of had a similar issue in getting into an audiobook. It took me a hurdle. It was a little bit of a hurdle to get into it. But once I started doing it, I was like, fuck yeah, this is awesome. And honestly, because I'm so busy, and I wanna read the books for book of the month for our book club, and I wanna be able to do I wanna be able to keep up with all the books that people are having me read. It's really less daunting for me to be, "Okay, I can listen to this, I'll clean, I can do things at the same time, I don't feel so, like, bogged
Mm,
down,"
totally.
which is great. So, yeah, I love an audiobook. I have some that I could recommend to you. Didn't you listen to the Fourth Wing audiobook, though?
Mhm. I tried a little bit,
That was, like,
and
immersive,
yeah,
right?
I tried to do Bury Your Bones a little bit for this last section because I was driving a lot recently, and
Mm.
I tried to do it a little bit for that, and then I forgot where I was, and, like, I was really confused, then I ended up having to go back and reread it, so it just took me longer, but I
Yeah.
think I think I need to listen to an audiobook that's not multiple perspectives, because Bury Your Bones is multiple perspectives, and that gets confusing, especially if the narrator is the same narrator for all of them. There's
Yeah.
no differential, so maybe for the book that I'm reading, like, on the personal side, I'll do that.
Well, I will say though, because remember when I was reading Cat About Town, and I'm a master procrastinator, so I bet it takes you absolutely no time to realize that I also procrastinate book of the month, even though I love the books. Like
Yeah,
I procrastinate book of the month all the time, and that's just kind of like the vibe with book club in general. I feel like let's just be
yeah,
honest about it.
yeah.
So I read Cat About Town, and that audiobook was god awful. It was so bad, and Sid got in the car and it was playing because it was automatic hooked up to my car and started playing, and she was like, no wonder you think the narrator no wonder you think the main character is so fucking annoying. Her voice sounds it was not a good audiobook, and but
Mhm.
I just sometimes it's just easier for me. And I think mentally for my ADHD, it's a lot easier to just kind of like listen rather than like
Yeah.
sit down and be still
I have
sometimes.
to do a big cleaning tomorrow, so maybe I'll try again.
Yes. I love cleaning and listening to it because you're gonna watch a show anyways. You're like, you gotta do
Mhm.
I don't know. Some people say not to do that because it's bad for you, but I like to listen to an audiobook.
Yeah,
But
whatever, I'm
anyways,
there.
that brings us perfectly into book of the month. Perfectly
Yay!
into book of the
Book
month.
of the month
Book
time.
of the month time. I will say that I'm happy that we picked this book. I really am.
Yeah,
I'm really thrilled. I think, as always, we're gonna have a much more a bigger deep dive next week because we're gonna be done with the book, and I feel like we always really deep dive in the end because we can really we have the full context, so we can really talk. Like, there's a lot that
yeah.
we don't know right now. So yes, how are
Yeah,
we
so
feeling?
far, I still really love the multiple perspective. I also love the multiple timeline. That's like a very something I really appreciate as a historical fiction lover because that's probably my favorite genre. So I
Yeah,
like that we're getting this. I think that I said this in the last episode also, but I still really appreciate this. I think it's carried really well through the book. Is that you can jump timelines without getting whiplash in this story? Like
yes.
going from 15 something to 2019 is a big gap in history to like just jump into. And I think that it's actually not as hard as I thought it would be to switch those perspectives. In some books, it can really be. So I really appreciate that.
I
I
agree.
will
That
no, keep
having a really strong authorial voice
mm,
helps with that too. Like, every character has a really strong
yes.
voice, and I
Yes.
think that makes it and I honestly like that in terms of, like, somebody that's not really historical fiction, I know you love it, it's less daunting to me because we have 2019. Like,
Yes.
the world I know, alongside worlds I don't know.
Correct. And I think that she did a really good job, or they did a really good job of like bouncing it back and forth and balancing it really well. So so far, that's just something like from a literary perspective I appreciate. I will say, and this is a me thing, not an author thing, that I've had a very distracting week, like a very distracting like 2 weeks, and so I have had to stop and like reread and go back and reread and like kind of keep jogging myself because I wouldn't say it's necessarily that it's detail oriented, but it's not you know how people put on, like, Friends or The Office in the background of a that you so you don't really need to pay attention to know what's going on, it's just kinda there, but you're
Mm,
getting the noise. This is not one of those books
mm.
at all. Like, you do have to sit down and, like, really be present and thinking about what you're reading and absorbing it because as the timelines jump, there's very important not, like, details necessarily, but, like, just things that overlap that you wanna keep track of in some way, and so for the last week, I really need to lock in on that because I was trying to, like I had, like, 30 minutes in a break at work, and I'd be like, "I'm gonna read for 30 minutes and then go, and then I'm gonna do this and then go," and this was not one of those
Yeah, no.
books for that.
I actually really appreciate that you said that because I have had a really hard time, like, prioritizing reading this past month, honestly.
Yeah, me too.
And I just feel like it's when I'm reading a book, I have such a like, "Oh my god, this is so amazing, this is so fun," and then there are just times where it just gets hard to read, and that's why I love audiobooks, honestly, because it's like, okay, when I'm driving, which I know I'm gonna drive a million different places, I know I'm gonna go a million different places, it makes it a little bit less daunting to be listening to it, but I
Yeah.
agree with you. I think there's a lot of details, and I also think that I am kinda struggling with the same thing because 'cause I've picked it up and put it down, put it up and put it down, and I also went from reading it to listening into it to reading it to listening to it, which is just totally, like,
Mm.
not the right way to do it, and I feel bad because it's fucking Pride Month, and I'm not even being a good gay by dedicating my time to this book, but I'm really
Mhm.
trying. It's just
Yeah.
it's just this month is just a little bit of a transition period, I think, for both of us, so if
Yeah,
you're
both of
behind a
us.
book of the month, if you haven't read, we get
It's
it.
okay.
It's okay. We get it. If you can't, like, you're welcome. It's always for you. That's our fucking
Yeah.
hypothesis. It's our tagline. You're
Yeah.
welcome no matter what.
No, I think both of us have had a like, I mean, if you watched our last episode, you know that we're both going through, like, a very interesting period of our life right now, and it's been really hard for me to read, not because I don't want to, not because I don't love the book, but
Yeah.
literally because, like, every time I find 5 seconds to do so, like, something else pops up, and I'm like, "Fuck my life, I have, like, 27 other things I have to do in the 10 minutes that I have to read right now."
Yeah.
And so it keeps accidentally getting, like, thrown as to, like, an in-between thing.
Yeah.
And that's a me thing, it has nothing to do with the author. I do really love the book so far, I think the way that it's written is very creative, and I'm excited to be able to, like, be present and talk more about it next week when I finish it, because then I think I'll actually be in a place to, like, give my opinions and whatever, and we'll be announcing Book of the Month for July next week.
For July, I'm so excited. Yes, that's what we have in store for you. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for being through the chaos. You have no idea how much it means to us. We love you.
We
We will
love
see
you.
you in the next chapter to talk about New Year's resolutions.
Yay!
Yay. Okay,
Love
we love
you.
you. Bye.
Bye.